enslaved. It is estimated that Carolina traders operating out of Charlestown, which is Charleston, South Carolina, shipped an estimated 30,000 to 50,000 Native American captives between 1670 and 1715 in a profitable slave trade with the Caribbean, Spanish Hispaniola, and northern colonies. Because it was more profitable to have Native American slaves, whites and northern colonists sometimes preferred Native American slaves, especially Native women and children, to Africans. Prior to 1720, when the end of the Native American slave trade, Carolina exported as many or more Native American slaves than it imported Africans. The unusual exchange rate of captive Native Americans for enslaved Africans during this time period was 2 or 3 Native Americans to 1 African. Now we know when they say African, we know they're talking about you so-called Negroes, alright, which is the tribe of Judah. Now it said right here, prior to 1720, when they ended so-called Native American slave trade. So from 1492 till 1720, so-called when they ended it, they was capturing, enslaving, buying and selling Native American Indians and what you eerily call today Hispanics or Latin Americans, natives, into slavery and shipping them to the Caribbean Isles, to Europe, basically to the east. That's how the Latin tribes and so-called Native American tribes fit that curse of being scattered amongst all people, proving they're Israelites. Alright, fucking clown. Okay, it says in the Southwest, Spanish colonists and Native Americans sold or traded slaves as many as the trade fares along the Rio Grande. It says slave traders, and then you even had Uncle Tomahawks, okay? Because you gotta remember, it's part of the curses. Let me get that. You had the tribes fighting against each other. That's Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother. Alright, meaning what? Here it is, this guy knows that these are his people. Alright, we all brethren, but they eye was evil towards each other. That's how the so-called white man was able to bring down many of the tribes over here, due to the fact that the curses were starting to come upon us because we were sinning, okay, to fulfill the what Moses spoke about, all the 12 tribes happening in this time, okay. Alright, so you had tribes which we call them Uncle Tomahawks, basically aiding and helping their enemies take down their own brother. That's why you have all this friction between the tribes, man. Alright? And towards the wife of his bosom and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Okay? Yeah. It says slave traders preferred captive Native Americans who were under 18 years old, as they were believed to be more easily trained to new work. It says in the Illinois country, French colonists baptized as Catholics Native American slaves whom they brought for labor. They believed it essential to convert Native Americans to the Catholic faith. Church baptism records have thousands of entries for Indian slaves. It says in the Spanish colonists, the church assigned Spanish surnames to Native Americans and recorded them as servants rather than slaves. Many members of Native American tribes in the West will be taken against their will for life as slaves. In the East, Native Americans were recorded as slaves. Deuteronomy chapter 28, alright? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. The Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other end, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, a failing of eyes, and a sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were evening, and at evening thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, which the word Egypt means bondage. Alright? Exodus 20:2. I'm the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So the Lord said, Deuteronomy 28:68, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, meaning what? The house of bondage, slavery, again with ships. And we just read Native Americans were getting shipped. Okay? Alright? This is basic knowledge, man. This is American history. You say your ass live over there in California, you should know this. Oh, so wise one. Okay? Fucking simple ass nigga. Alright? That's plain. With ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So, understanding that, go and look at some history, understanding the scriptures. Alright, Moses was speaking to the 12 tribes. Okay? When he made that statement that they should go on slavery, they should be scattered into all kingdoms in the earth. Okay? That they was going to be scattered among the heathens from one end of the earth to the other, and there they should serve other gods, become what? Catholics, Buddhists, fucking so-called Christians. Alright? Because that so-called Christianity that they teach in them churches is a bunch of madness. That ain't the truth. Alright? So to answer your question right here in Isaiah 11:11, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left, okay, from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the isles of the sea. Why? Because you had Israel getting shipped all over the place, man. Alright? Slavery. And not even just back then, but even now. Amongst the Latin tribes, alright, they have a big old profitable setup called sex trafficking. They still kidnapping little boys and girls, alright, and they getting shipped all over the world, man. Alright, something called sex trafficking. Okay, you got these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that play sports worldwide. Actors, entertainers. Okay, we're in the military that go all around the world and deal with women of the other nations and leave seed, meaning children. Alright, drop seed with these women wherever they be at and leave their children there. That's why we scattered all over the place, man. Alright, and that's why we not all gonna look like fucking prototypic Negro, Latino, Native American, or whatever that it looks like, man. Alright, for this simple ass nigga. So that's a cut on this dude, man. That's a cut on this dude. Alright, because the remnant, alright, is talking about the elect, man. And the elect consists of the 12 tribes, man. Alright, which is 1/3.